Good evening and welcome to Newsbite. I'm Anne Clarke and making the headlines this week. We find out the result of the EU Referendum, another plane lands at St Helena Airport, and August Graham has your weekly sports roundup. On Thursday, the British public went to the polls to decide whether or not to stay in the EU. August Graham has the result.
It was a tumultuous Friday morning. Less than 12 hours after the polls had closed across the UK, the future of Europe lay in the balance. A Prime Minister had resigned, a currency had collapsed, and a union had been torn apart. Britain had voted. 52% wanted to leave the EU, a collection of 28 European countries which cooperate on a range of issues. But before the result was even final, it had started having serious consequences. The value of the pound dropped by about 10% against the dollar, while stock markets across the world closed their doors. Later, British Prime Minister David Cameron resigned. He had been defeated in the referendum and felt his position was untenable. What will happen next is impossible to say. Nationalists in Scotland and Northern Ireland, areas which voted overwhelmingly to stay in the Union, are now once again talking about independence. For St Helena, it is also an uncertain time. The island's government says that they will not make any statements about this result until they know what is the likely outcome for St Helena. But Dr. Peter Clegg, an expert from the University of the West of England, says that the island may well suffer as new trade tariffs to St Helena and other places could be introduced.
So potentially, it could have a significant impact on the trade routes that St Helena has, and possibly an increase in the costs of goods and services coming from South Africa. Again, it's all very tentative, but there is that risk.
I'm sure you've heard, as we've all heard here, the headlines about the drop in the price of sterling. Of course, it dropped at one point by about 10% against the US dollar. And a nation which imports most of its products, will that have a major impact on St Helena, do you think?
One issue is whether this decline will be maintained, whether there'll be a recovery, but certainly with devaluation, in essence, of the currency, import prices will increase. So the cost of living, probably in the UK as well as St Helena, will increase as well. So I think that is a real issue. Once we've got over this sort of initial uncertainty, that might be factored into sort of future budgetary support.
Here at the wharf you can see the benefit of the EU and their money to St Helena. The netting which holds in the mountain, the paving that people walk across, and the customs building, and much more here and across the island was paid for using EU money. Dr. Clegg says that this kind of funding might be put in jeopardy in the future with the latest decision. Britain still has 2 years to negotiate the terms on which it will leave the European Union, but whatever happens, it will send shockwaves that will be felt as far away as the South Atlantic.
Despite horror stories escalating about St Helena Airport in the international press, Monday the 20th of June saw the arrival of the 6 fixed-wing aircraft to the island. August Graham was there as she arrived almost perfectly on time.
The wind may have scared off other pilots, but the one flying a Bombardier Challenger jet on Monday morning was not put off by reports of wind shear. A smooth landing just a minute later than the plane was scheduled to come in, and the passengers could get off. The plane was carrying 8 staff from Basil Reid. After much negative press, this is being hailed by some as a sign that the airport is open. However, there is still some way to go before regular flights start landing and the problems of wind shear are overcome.
Here now is August Graham with the Sports Arena.
Welcome to TV Sports Arena. Football continued and golfers celebrated Father's Day at Longwood Golf Club. First golf. 20 golfers turned up at Longwood Golf Club on Sunday to play in a Father's Day Texas Scramble. As a one-off, family members were invited to enter the competition and compete alongside their father or grandfather. However, it was husband and wife duo Gerald and Anne George who blitzed the field and won after shooting 44 Stableford points. Leon Crowe and Arthur Francis finished in second, 3 points behind on 41. Now football. 26 goals were scored in week 4 of the football season. Chop Shop Boys continue to lead the way, and there is a tie at the top of the Hot Shots chart. And for the first time this season, a goalkeeper picked up a Man of the Match awards. Wolves reeled off a quality performance to win against Hot Shots in Saturday's first match. Young striker Cody Thomas scored either side of the half-time whistle to give Wolves their second win of the season. Hot Shots keeper Rick Thomas was in inspired form. Had he not been, Wolves' margin of victory could have been even more. Thomas picked up the Man of the Match award for his efforts. A Kevin Hudson brace was enough to earn Chop Shop Boys all 3 points in their match against Axis on Saturday afternoon. Hudson's goal came either side of the half-time break. His first and early contender for the goal of the season. It was a net-bulging left-footed strike on the half-turn from 18 yards. Although they were defeated, Axis Paul Anwill picked up the second Man of the Match award in as many weeks, and their centre-half Kieran Bowers was the young player of the match. Rovers were in fine goal-scoring form, finding the net 12 times during their match against Refugees. Man of the match Russ O'Dean is now joint top of the Hot Shots goal-scoring charts after netting 5 goals in the game. Fellow forward Ronan Legg bagged a hat-trick, left-back Sean Benjamin completed a brace, and Mashara Yon also got on the scoresheet. Young player of the match Aidan Leo complimented a good performance with a consolation goal for Refugees. Defending champions Hearts bounced back from a defeat against Rovers to brush aside the challenge of Fugees with a 5-1 victory in Sunday's second fixture. Rico Chico Williams started the match, opening the scoring, and went on to complete a brace for Hearts. Strikers Jason George and Shane Stroud netted a goal each, and winger Clayton Thomas also scored for Hearts. Liam Yon struck a late goal to give Fugees a consolation.
Well, that's it for another Newsbite. Tune in again next week for more top stories. But until then, I'm Anne Clarke, and thank you all for watching.